All right, my name is Brandon Gwynn. I'm the founder of Ranch House Recovery and Simple Promise Farms. Um, I came into this industry very different than most people. My son, at the age of 17, at a high school football game, broke his arm. They gave him 3 shots of morphine on the way to the hospital, and he came home with a prescription for Percocet. Within 6 months, I believe, he was, looking for pills on the streets. It got too hard to find and too expensive. Before he knew it was a full-blown heroin addiction. We went on a journey and a struggle for, 10 plus years, where, mental health and addiction was running the show. And as a parent, early on, you think, I failed my son. What did I do wrong? What did I do to create this? All the areas, that we look at, like, I created this. So through countless treatment centers over the years, and at one point in my son's journey, he was homeless on Skid Row, Los Angeles for 14 months. I'd hired the best interventionist that I could find. I had connected him with the best treatment centers that I could find. And really what I didn't know was I was at the mercy of the internet. I was at the mercy of whoever I Googled. I was at the mercy of whoever answered the phone. I didn't have any experience. I didn't have any connections. I had no relationship. So, I was just at the mercy of that person. And what I found was my son went to the treatment in California. My mother sent him $60 for cigarettes. Within 24 hours, he had walked out the door and was getting high on the streets. 14 months later, my son reached out to me. He said that a woman, he had walked by him that day on the streets and said, you have a really pretty smile. I think it's important that we remember that words have power. That woman changed his life. He turned the corner, he broke down in tears. He reached out to a local nonprofit in downtown Los Angeles that helped homeless youth get back home. And from there, he came back to Texas. Now, he also had grand plans at that time. He also had a mother that struggled with addiction, so his goal was to come back to Texas to get sober and to get his mother sober. He spent another year in Lubbock with good intentions, but the addiction still had pretty good hold of him. So I can remember when the day he called me and he says, "Dad, I don't want to live like this anymore." At that point, I says, "Well, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. But I know this, I'm on this journey with you, and we're going to figure this out together." So at that point, we got him into a treatment center, and this time it was dual diagnosis. He'd been using heroin and methamphetamines, and his mental health was bad. Got him into a dual diagnosis program that could really put an emphasis on the mental health and the addiction. And shortly after, he came back to Austin and started an aftercare program here, which is where the idea was originally born for, Ranch House Recovery. I saw like a group of men in there that were working together, and for the longest time, I didn't understand the disease of addiction. I thought, like many dads do, like many people do, you're not working hard enough, you're not trying hard enough, you don't want it bad enough, just man up. And that had been my mindset for a long time. But guilt, shame, fear, and I think I put a lot of that on my son. So in that moment when he got back to Austin, I realized, like, hey, this is bigger than my son. There are so many men out here in this position struggling. And we started kicking around the idea of opening an animal rescue, entirely run by people in recovery. So that was the roots of Ranch House Recovery. Well, a few more relapses later, and the devastation it was wreaking on my home life with my wife and my kids and my stepkids, because when you can't control the one thing that you want to control the most, you try to control everything else around you. And I was on the verge of divorce. My stepkids told my wife one time that you ruined our lives when you married Brandon. And and that's not who I am. And it broke me to hear that, because I realized in that moment that they had every right to feel that way, because the havoc I wreaked on everyone's life around me in my son's addiction was running the show. A few relapses later, I told my son, I can't continue to do this still, and it's wreaking havoc on my life. It's wreaking havoc on, your siblings. I need some separation. I need 1 year separation from you. I found a place in Washington State. I can help you with your first month. It's a work program. You can work for your room and board. You can stay there a year. Once that year comes around, we'll talk. I need that separation. So I sent him up there, and he did his year. And I actually got to go up there, for his 1 year. He got his 1 year chip. I got to go up there and present his 1 year chip to him. The naivety of me as a parent at the time was like, all right, he made it a year, he's graduated, he's got his diploma in recovery, like everything's good, we can move on. But still, that need to control was still there. So I left my career in teaching, and I started a construction company, because if I kept my son working for me, I could keep a real close eye on him and make sure he stayed sober. Kind of hearing a theme here. It's I'm in control of his sobriety. So we, during that year of working construction, I just, kept asking him, his experience in treatment. And what I kept hearing was, Dad, I already know what they're going to say. He says, everywhere I've been has been a similar experience. It's been the same thing. It's been the same format. When I got up to Washington, my biggest change there is I realized I am the only one responsible for my recovery. During my son's stay in Washington, with the realization that he's the only one responsible for his recovery, it had really profound change. He was in nature, he was outside, he was working with animals, he was working with, the public, he's working a really solid program. And I saw a shift. I saw for the first time, some accountability and some growth and change. So I thought, what if we could take that model up there that, and bring it here and expand on that. We could take, the horse program. We've got 4 horses here. We've got a round pen. We do equine assisted learning with the guys. What if we expand on that? We added a farm, a vegetable garden. We have chickens. We have goats. We have donkeys. And the best part about it is when the guys here wake up in the morning, they're immediately starting their day outside of self. They have farm chores. Certain people will be assigned to horses, goats, or chickens, and that's the start of their day. Getting outside, getting out of self. They come in every morning. They do group with me at 9 a.m. We kind of set the tone for the day, and then they get out there in that field on the farm. And every day on the farm is an act of service, because Simple Promise Farms is a nonprofit that supports addiction recovery through scholarships for mental health, scholarships for sober living, and meaningful work. And the meaningful work is probably our biggest program, because what it does is it provides transitional employment. Someone getting out of treatment needs transitional employment until they find a job. It provides part-time employment. People really want to come out here and stay connected to the recovery community. And it provides sober living scholarships. So people getting out of treatment need a leg up, need that first couple months of rent support. And most of our scholarships for sober living are women. And I think because we're kind of a first come first serve kind of program here, they're the ones that reach out and ask for it the most. So every day they're out there, they're being of service, they're giving back, they're making a difference. We let the guys in the house from Ranch House call and give those scholarships away. I want them to know that every day they're on that farm, they're the impact that they're having. And another beautiful thing is when you start your day with your hands in the dirt and you start your day out there in the field working, the camaraderie that these men have, the back and forth banter, we're teaching them to have fun in recovery. We're teaching them, that this is a way to start your day rather than sitting under a fluorescent light for 8 hours a day, in a group setting. It's a peer-led model. Staff doesn't hold these guys accountable. They hold each other accountable. They are on cook crew, they're on clean crew. The grounds that you see around here is done by the residents in the house. This is their home. We want them and expect them to treat this like home. And because of that, they have pride and ownership. They have buy-in. This feels like something that they want to be a part of. Every day is a learning experience. Every day is something new, and for myself included. I don't walk in here with a set curriculum here. We start every day with What are the needs in the house? What are the needs of the individual? And oftentimes, if you find an individual that needs a certain message or needs to hear something, chances are that the rest of the guys in the house need to hear it as well. We give them an opportunity to find their path to sobriety, to recovery. You know, there isn't a one-size-fits-all sort of approach here. This is their journey, and our goal, I say, is to provide the place, the space, and the opportunity. Plant that seed. That's really the only thing that we can do on this journey with them, is give them the experience to find a way and create a supportive community where they know that there's something bigger than them that they can be a part of. Addiction lives in isolation. You know, if the opposite of addiction is connection, what we're doing here is creating a place for people to connect, for the community to connect, for the farmers markets, for the, we had a Women's Volunteer Day last week. You know, we're continuing to do things to support the entire recovery community. So when they go to the farmers markets, we do Thursday, Saturday, Sunday farmers markets. When they're at the market, they're sharing their experience. They're breaking down that stigma of what people in recovery look like. And that was the goal from day one. Like, sunlight is the best disinfectant. If we can shine a light on what people in recovery look like, we're just people. You know, everyone struggles. You know, we're all here to love and support each other. And it's a very powerful experience because everybody out there has been touched by addiction in some way. And for years, it was the dirty secret that you brushed under the rug you didn't talk about. The more we can change that stigma, the more we can get this conversation out in the open. And it's a powerful experience because these guys don't hide from it. They're out there in the market sharing their experience with the general public. There's a lot of tears, there's a lot of hugs, there's a lot of love shown, and you know, there's a lot of support. You know, this recovery community in Central Texas is probably one of the strongest ones I've seen in the country. And what they do for each other is profound because we can't do this alone. My son tried to do this on his own for, you know, most of his life. Didn't work. And I'll say this, my son is 3.5 years sober. I have a granddaughter. He's married. They just moved to Houston, Texas, so he's 2.5 hours away. And they are closing on their first house on the 26th of this month. That's the miracle. From 14 months homeless, Skid Row, Los Angeles, incarcerated in LA County, to married with a family, living his best life. We can't give up on our loved ones. You know, there's that fine line of, you know, enabling and, you know, loving them to death. But at the same time, we got to see them through it. We got to love them through it. We got to be there when they need us. There used to be this old mentality of let them hit rock bottom. The fentanyl epidemic has changed that story. Rock bottom is a body bag. We can't look at this the same way that we used to. We can't let these young kids go out there and hit rock bottom. We got to figure out a way. And the reality is, none of us really know. We don't have the answers here. We're working on a new way. We're continuing to discover better ways and how to do this. But ultimately, the community support that we provide and the connections that we make with each other and the fact that people get to come out here, continually be a part of our program. The open door policy here is amazing. You get out of treatment, you can come show up anytime you want. You can come sit in group, you can go out there on that farm and work, you can come out for dinner. I had a client for about 3 months, he showed up every day at dinner time. We were happy to feed him. And I don't think it was for the dinner, I think it was for the camaraderie and the connection that he had with the people. When you leave treatment, the time you spend in treatment, you really develop connections, you develop in your community, you have really strong relationships, and then you get out and you go to sober living or wherever you go, and the anxiety and the fear that these guys feel is profound. By allowing them to continue to come back here, open door policy, it helps lessen that burden a little bit. It allows them to take the time they need to build the new relationships, to get comfortable in their new space, so they don't go out there and relapse. Because the uncomfortability that people in recovery feel is often what leads to relapse. So how do we support them? We provide a space to continue to be here. I'm very blessed as a father of a son in recovery. I'm very blessed that I get to show up every day and provide an experience for these guys. And this is a family business. My wife works here. 22 years in education. I was 11 years in education. And we get to take what we learned working with the little ones, because I was pre-K and kinder special ed. It's a lot like working with men in recovery. We're just bigger versions of our little self. And we get to do some amazing work out here. So I'm getting very blessed to be a part of this.
I'm Brooks Williams. I'm an addict, and my home for the last 50-something days have been at Ranch House Recovery. I owe my life to it, really. I'm immensely grateful, and I can't even really put into words all the things that it has done for me. I started using at a really young age. I was 14, and I really feel like I've been enabled all my life. Ever since I was young, as soon as I found drugs and alcohol, it was my immediate escape. Threw away school, threw away countless opportunities to be successful, and really just gravitated towards the escape of getting intoxicated, because that was the only thing that made me feel okay inside. I'm pretty much did everything that you don't want your kid to do as a parent. I dropped out of high school, was in active addiction at the age of 15, caught a felony. Went to a rehab that was clinical, and it did nothing for me. The only thing I learned at such a young age was really just to be better at using, and I learned more about substances by being in an environment that was just insurance-based. I felt like they didn't really care about me, and I was just a number for insurance companies to profit off of. Once I dropped out of high school, I pretty much fully dove into the lifestyle of addiction. I've never worked a job for longer than 2 weeks. I just did what I knew how to survive, and my whole mind and body, all I could think about was drugs, drugs, drugs. So that's how I survived. When I turned 18, I moved to Austin after my first serious crash out. I was addicted to codeine and cocaine, and I lost all of my money. My family completely not disowned me, but they were just so disappointed in me and knew that the area that I was in wasn't going to be good for me, so they moved me to Austin. And at that point, I made it 30 days sober. I'm 24 now. I was 20 or around 19 when I moved to Austin, and I didn't know the area. I didn't know how to get anything. It was just pretty much me white knuckling it out, trying to stay sober. But it took me about 30 days to really plug into the community of drugs and alcohol here. And then the cycle just restarted itself. I got a job for 2 weeks, got a check, took it straight to the means that I knew how to survive, and then starts the endless cycle. But this time around, I really fell into the trap of narcotics. I was in my apartment, which was pretty much a death trap for an addict, especially when you don't have accountability and your roommates aren't sober as well. So it pretty much was just nothing healthy at all. And slowly but surely, not only did I watch my physical health deteriorate, but my mental health was deteriorating as well. I truly felt like I was going crazy, like I was losing my mind. I was only able to keep things as manageable as I could for about maybe a year and a half. And not only that, but I pushed away even farther all my friends and all my loved ones. So at this point, the only real friends that I had left were scared for my life. Same with my family. And the people I was surrounding myself with were just a ton of users that were in the same world that I was in. And another thing that it just blows my mind is I used to think think that this stuff was so cool. I would want to see, oh my gosh, like there's a big pile of substances. I thought that that was the coolest thing that I've ever seen, and I have no clue why. I think that's just the addiction manifesting in my head, because anyone that's normal would look at that pile of drugs and think like, oh my God, that could kill people. There's so many negative things that come with substance use, but since it was my personal escape, all I could see were the positives, which were making my mind feel okay. I didn't care. At this, again, my body was completely deteriorating. I don't know what I weighed before I came into treatment when I was 20, but it was still, it was not good. But I crashed out again, slowly but surely. Just the cycle continued, and I got to a point where I couldn't pay my rent anymore. I couldn't keep up with my drug habit. It was during the time where there was a really big freeze in the area. One thing that really I noticed was when all my friends were trying to get food and alcohol because we lost power, or excuse me, food and water. We lost power during the freeze. We had lost our water. It was really chaotic. It was out for 7 days. Food and water was the last thing on my mind. I just need to get high. Like, I just need to feel okay. And I even wrecked my car trying to drive in horrible frozen conditions just to get to those substances, which at this point, and really throughout my whole life, has been my escape and the only thing that make me feel okay. If I don't have these, I then have to face my sober thoughts myself, and I can't look in myself in the mirror when I'm sober. I can't deal with the emotions that come up when I'm sober. But if I can just go to my escape, everything's good. You know, I'm coasting. It's all fine. But yeah, I went into treatment for my second time. I really needed to get sober. I wanted to get sober. It was my first time with experience of psychosis, and it really scared my family. I saw them they saw me in a state of mind that I was in psychosis. I've been awake for 5-6 days. I had lost track, and I was dabbling with substances that were a lot harder than I had in the past. I was using meth, cocaine, Xanax, Adderall. Pretty much if I could get my hands on it, I was ingesting it. And not only that, but I was involved in things that were completely embarrassing. I just thought everything was cool. So was not cool. I came and I went to treatment, and I actually came through here, and it was a beautiful experience. I had to, my family helped me get here. It was really challenging, but I can tell you right now that if I didn't have this experience, I wouldn't be here today. I was about 21 years old, and what this place did for me the first time was plant that seed of recovery, show me that it's possible to get sober, and that there's life beyond drugs and alcohol. So it was truly, it was a blessing. It was, looking back on it, it was one of the best times of my life. It was my first time with real experience of fellowship, with community, with people who cared about me other than the people that I was using with. And I really finally had some real life role models to look up to, especially considering that throughout the course of my life, I have felt like I haven't had the best role models to look up to. So it was a really life-changing experience for me. I was young and I was dumb, and I was very gung-ho coming out of this experience the first time. If you would have asked me what I wanted to do, it would be to impact as many people as I could, to be a leader in the sober community, and I just had all of these really high expectations, and in reality it was just my ego on a flag. I did a 28-day stay, and I was recommended to stay longer, and I was only able to hold on to my sobriety for about 30 days, 35 days whenever I left here, and in reality I just wasn't done yet. My mind, I wasn't done yet. I was 21, I thought, I'm in the prime right now, I just am able to buy alcohol, all my friends, all the people that are going to college around me, they're still drinking, they're still partying, they're still drugging. So I thought that like by right that I, you know, could do it too, even though that my life countless times in the past have proved that I cannot handle things like this, and that the moment a substance goes into me, I just want more, more, more. And that feeling of more, it does not go away until I'm either passed out or I'm in a place where it's, you know, I've crashed out and my life is so burnt down that the only thing that even makes sense now is death or getting help.
Can we give God 30 seconds of praise? Let's make some noise and let God know we are in the house. Let's praise Him and get loud. Clap your hands and rock the crowd. Put them up and dance around. Praise God, I sing and shout. Praise God, I sing and shout. Let's party, let's go. Let's scream and shout to let Him know, yeah, yeah. Scream and shout to let Him know, yeah.